Hello everyone, welcome to the stream. Start this off with just that ChatGPT video went out. I put a week of work into that. It has done pretty well, and I'm happy for that. So we're at 6,800 views on that video with 358 likes, 2 dislikes, which is very good for my channel. It's been rough on YouTube the past, I don't know, maybe 6 months or something. So it's good that that video is doing well. That's for something that's not too specific. Like it's slightly outside of the videos that usually do really well, like the update videos. And it was a higher effort video. I'm glad that did well. I think a lot of people liked that one. And we'll see. Maybe it will continue to grow in popularity from there. I need a clip of me saying that this video is probably not going to make $24 or $20. It made $24 so far. Yay. Wow. That's the numbers after 4 days. That's all right. That alone is not going to pay the bills, but we get 100 of these. That's not so bad. Here's what it is. I'm glad that people are interested in that, open to using ChatGPT. It's just going to keep getting better. I keep thinking about how they got to 100 million users within 2 months, when it took Facebook 4 years. That kind of exponential growth is going to be crazy. Here's the plan today. We're going to go through some interesting things in the news that I would like to cover, music tech related stuff, and also how I find these news things. How I keep up with things. We're going to talk about how I gave ChatGPT a voice. So in that video, there's this section with the robot voice, how I made that. I got a very funny example of a bad robot voice from a recent video game. And this video will be, or this live stream recap will be the first done by an editor. Part of this video that you're watching will be me training the editor, I guess. We should probably start off with a bit of like housekeeping stuff. Reaper.blog. If you didn't know, this is more than just a YouTube channel. Reaper.blog is my website where I have links to all of the videos as well as written tutorials going back years, back to 2011. If you need to send me a message, I've got a contact form. You can send me an email here. Hire me for a private lesson. I do one-on-one, 1 hour long lessons for $50 US. Choose a time on my schedule that works for you. My availability is there, and you just pick time from your local time zone and you can sign up. In addition to that, I have a newsletter where I do at least once a month a mail out that has a recap of the previous month. Is usually the standard thing, but sometimes there's like a special offer. There's some sponsored thing that needs your attention, or if there's a new Reaper update, I will post about that. I will mail that to you as well. If you didn't know about the blog, now you know. That would explain the name, I hope. In addition to that, we also have the merch shop, which you can find at reaper.blog/merch. It will redirect you to the threadless shop, where we have currently 4 different designs that you can get on a shirt, and some of them available on a mug. So this is the latest one, wires. Really happy with how this one turned out. And yeah, available on men's and women's shirts and mugs and tote bags in multiple colors. This is a great way to support what I'm doing. You get a physical thing as well. To the news. Keeping up with the news, I'm still an RSS feed user. I used to use Google Reader, was it called? Something like that. And it was a great way to keep up with stuff. So like the 100 blogs that I would read, I just take their RSS feed, put it into one app, and I could scroll through. There was no reason for them to kill that app. Like, it was so good. So now I'm using Feedly, and I'm just using the free version of Feedly. I don't like it as much because like search is paywalled, and it's so annoying. But RSS is still a valuable thing, you know, rather than having to open a different app for every different website or actually remember to go to through your bookmarks and browse all these different sites, RSS feeds bring those websites to you, or at least, you know, a preview of what's there and a link to go to the full article if it's interesting. In terms of music production or audio related news, I use 3 RSS feeds. The KVR News. KVR Audio is a big forum and kind of database of everything like plugin related. So virtual instruments and plugins are in a database there. And they also have a very active news stream feed. Contact libraries, sample libraries, plugins, instruments, and then other sort of industry news gets posted there. Via the RSS feed in the past month or so, 100 or so things have come up. Feedly's telling me it's 29 articles per week. Another one way more active than KVR is record.org. And this is another blog. They've got 93 articles per week on average. Very similar sorts of things, but way more of it. A lot more sample library stuff. I have advertised my stuff on record before. Another one is Sound on Sound magazine, their latest news. They're much less active, and it's more like press release sorts of things. Not usually articles, not usually sample library sorts of things, but it's like interfaces, microphones. Yeah, so I just scroll through, and if it's interesting, I'll just hit visit website. So I've got a bunch of links already set up here. Devious Machines updated Infiltrator to version 2.2. Infiltrator, I hardly know her. Here's what they added. Increased number of macro controls to 8, new Stratosphere bank with 50 presets, random envelope start position, MIDI program change support, macro edit functions, AAX Apple Silicon compatibility, performance and memory use optimizations, fixed issue with latency compensation that resulted in phasing. Awesome stuff. I've done a couple videos about Infiltrator before. I think we checked it out on a stream, and yeah, a full video. Infiltrator is a great multi-effect. It's not free. If you want a free thing, we checked out Sykes, SEQS, or Sex, I'm guessing it's called. If you don't want Infiltrator, you've got Sex at home. Danny, I've had that joke in my head for like 3 weeks, and I haven't had a reason to say it, but Infiltrator got updated. I had to let that one out. Zoom releases the UAC 232, which is apparently the first 32-bit floating point audio interface. Zoom has already had several products that are standalone recorders doing 32-bit float recording. This is the first time to a computer that you can do this. So this is pretty exciting. We talked about 32-bit recording on the home recording show last year. Benefits and downsides and how it actually works and stuff. So 32-bit float recording on a physical device like this is very important. And it used to be impossible. But how they actually do it is they take the input signal, they optimize it for multiple analog to digital converters. And then they take the best one, the one that meets the optimal signal level, and that's what gets printed. But they do have the full range, the entire voltage that's coming in from that microphone. So basically it can't clip. And if it's super quiet, you can turn it up. And there's really no penalty, but there is kind of a lot of post-production work if you have such extreme dynamic range. It's very interesting. Seeing this done on a USB interface for the first time, like this is a super important development in music production. If you notice here, if we zoom in here, the main thing that's missing from this interface is a gain knob. There's no gain knob needed anymore, or that's what they say. I think it's still important to set your gain correctly because you do need to monitor it in a way that's actually usable. So if there's a super loud signal coming in and it's just distorting, you don't want to hear that in your headphones. You still need to set the gain to optimize the levels. And if something's so quiet that you can't hear it, you still need some gain control. But as far as I can tell, the only gain you're setting is like your monitoring volume, whether it's on the headphone or at the speaker outputs. The first dedicated 32-bit float audio interface. I don't know if that's 100% true. I feel like Steinberg had something already. No gain knob is super interesting. And Zoom has done this on their hardware recorders for a little while. They've done a super good job with this stuff. So I'm interested. Let's watch this video together. I'm not sure of the levels of this, but...
Hi everyone, this is Samuel from Zoom. The UAC232 is the first ever dedicated audio interface with 32-bit float recording. With this technology, there's no need to set gain or worry about monitoring levels. Once you start recording, you can focus on your music. The UAC232 uses dual AD converters and 32-bit flow recording to capture clip-free, low-noise recordings no matter how loud or quiet a performance gets.
Okay, so I'll just pause there. I think you do need to think about your monitoring level. Like, if it's too quiet, you're going to perform poorly. If it's too loud, you're going to perform poorly. Still needs to be optimized for the situation. Not worrying about clipping is great. Not worrying about the levels being a little bit low is great, but still it needs to work in context. If you're playing along to a drum beat and your microphone or your instrument is so low that you can't hear it, that's going to be a problem. You can normalize it after, but it's still important to get the levels right in a way that makes sense. And usually you can do that well below 0 dB, right? They keep saying you don't have to worry about monitoring level. I think it's for the people that don't listen to as they're recording, sure. But I think most people do listen as they're recording. All right.
Because 32-bit float offers a larger dynamic range, you'll be able to prevent clipping and distortion in your recordings. This can save takes that would otherwise be lost due to changes in volume. The UAC232 combines this with low-noise preamps, equivalent to the preamps in our professional F-Series recorders, guaranteeing crisp and clean recordings no matter your instrument. The XLR TRS inputs can accept microphones, instruments, and line-level signals. After plugging in the UAC232 to your PC, Mac, or iOS device, open up the free mix control software to complete your setup. First, select music or streaming mode. Music mode will route the inputs separately to your DAW for recording. Most DAWs are compatible with 32-bit float recording, including Pro Tools, Ableton, Cubase, and more.
So it seems like you have to go through this software to configure it. I wonder if it's like coming up as like an aggregate device. Jason, there is no mic gain. That's the thing. They take the voltage from the mic preamp and they run that through multiple, like, I think they said 2 analog to digital converters. Some devices have 3, and then they basically take whichever one is like the closest to the optimal level, and then they print that or they output that. One probably has like plus 40 gain and one probably has like plus 5 gain, something like that. And they can just kind of extract on like a per sample level, I guess, whichever one is the best. It's probably a short buffer. It's essentially auto gain. You choose the ideal level that you want. So let's say you want to record at -12. It just picks which of the AD converters at that moment to output. There's the boosted one and the normal gain one. Some of them also have like a low gain. The sound devices, MixPre or the Scorpio, they have 32-bit recording internally, but it's only over USB. It's still 24-bit. But this is the first one that they claim to be fully 32-bit compatible. And it will work in Reaper.
Switch to streaming mode and both inputs will be combined into a single signal to seamlessly route the audio for streaming software such as OBS.
When you output a device to OBS, usually you don't have control over panning and everything. It doesn't see, like if I have my audio fuse connected to OBS, even though it has like 20 inputs, I basically only see one or an aggregate of all of them. You don't get separate panning controls and things like that. Very annoying. It seems like they get around this by panning controls in the actual software. So if you have a stereo input, then you have the option of panning it. Otherwise, it's going to be just dual mono.
Of your audio waveform from your inputs. You can adjust the volume with a slider for each input to dial in the perfect level for recording. But this is not a gain adjustment, and regardless of the volume set by the software, 32-bit float audio allows you to drastically raise or lower the volume of your recorded files without affecting their quality. Mix Control also offers mixing controls for direct monitoring. You can monitor using the powerful headphone output on the front of the UAC232 or the balanced line outputs on the back. With 32-bit float technology, great sounding preamps, and easy mixing controls, the UAC232 makes recording and streaming high-quality audio incredibly easy.
Super interesting stuff, right? Having an interface where you don't need to worry about the gain levels. You can choose that optimal level for the recording in the software. But it's kind of like really requiring you to go through that. And in a way, it's extra steps. Potentially very, very cool. You know, you can have whispers and screams in the same recording, but then you got to go and split those items and normalize them. But the good thing is that the noise floor shouldn't change or anything like that. So that's all super cool. In the same week that came out, this week, Rode has a new 32-bit float USB mic. The Rode NT1 5th generation, which is a USB mic that has a USB-C connection and 32-bit audio interface built in. So this is, as far as I know, the first 32-bit float USB mic. It's also an XLR mic. Yeah, major benefits going through USB on that mic, except you won't get any monitoring that way. So kind of a big downside. Their Rode software has effects and stuff built in that you can apply to the microphone. I don't know if there's like a DSP that actually runs the stuff on the mic or if it's all software based, but people seem pretty happy with this new NT1. If you're curious, they've got a bunch of videos posted this week about 32-bit float. I don't think we need to watch through those today. Auralex releases some DIY panel kits, which is really just selling you the frames, and you have to provide your own rock wool or rigid fiberglass and your own cloth. And so the frame kit by itself is $56. So for a single one, that's $56. Let's actually look at the website. Yeah, so it's the frame and the mounting hardware, looks like. Is that a great deal? Not really. Is it really do-it-yourself if you're not using the saw? I don't know. And then you can get a 6-panel kit for $800. That doesn't make sense to me. Let's just check that out here. 56 times 6, $336. Why is the bigger kit more money? With fabric, with the wood, with the mounting materials and the insulation, you should be able to DIY a panel for under $100 a piece. It should be more like 6 panels for maybe $200. Around my room, you actually can't see them, but I've got a bunch of acoustic panels. Let's go to this camera. And the panels in the corner and here and above me and that big one there, those are all DIY. Those are inexpensive, very inexpensive to make myself. $800 for 6 panels seems like a ridiculous amount of money. This is the IKEA version of DIY acoustic panels. It's gonna be a little more expensive. I'm just saying that exists. This was in the news. This is a new product from Auralex. This is how you want to build acoustic panels. I don't think you should buy a pre-made kit. I think you should get some plywood, rip it on a table saw, and build frames yourself. Wrap it in fabric. You can choose any color. You can fill it with whatever insulation is available. It's going to be a huge difference over foam or nothing. What I think is really interesting is these new ones from Vicoustic. They combine studio soundproofing or sound treatment and instrument storage, which is kind of cool. I've definitely never seen that before. I bet the price is crazy. So you get 2 in a box. Low frequency performance is quite bad. Pretty effective at 1200 hertz. Very effective at 5K. So, you know, not amazing. They are pretty thin. But yeah, a new product. Better than a flat wall. You know, takes up less space than a guitar rack, but at the same time is also not super effective. However, take a nice thick, like 4-inch acoustic panel, mount it very sturdy against the wall, and then you can mount your guitar to that. Especially if you're using wood frames, there's no problem at all doing that. Steal this idea, but use a better acoustic panel. That's my advice. Next up, we've got the Yamaha AG08 all-in-one mixer. This is going to compete with the Rodecaster Pro, a mixer control surface for podcasters and streamers. It has a few mic inputs, some various line level inputs as well, 1/4-inch RCA and a couple 1/8-inch. It's got multiple outs, has 4 outs, I guess built-in effects, some sort of probably built-in DSP, ducking, EQ, compression, amp sim, voice changer. Kind of basic stuff, but pretty much all you need. And then there's built-in drum pads as well. Or not drum pads, but like sampler pads. And there's a record function on that. You can take any of the inputs and record to a pad. It's interesting. It's nice to see things made for streamers. This isn't a terrible option, it looks like. Kind of like the Go XLR, but a bit bigger, more inputs. I mean, the Go XLR is kind of abandoned now these days, but that was the first thing on the market for live streaming. And it's nice that, 6 years later, there's finally other companies making stuff for that market as well. Okay, and then the last bit of news is a new website from X-Rame called ReaLinks, or ReaLinks. And he calls this a curated collection of Reaper resources. There's going to be articles about various Rescript packs and just kind of like a collection of resources. Hada's Rescripts, themes, YouTube channels, blogs, this sort of thing. So that's going to be reallinks.net. Russell says, I have the Roland Go Mixer. It's tiny. I think I know what that one is. Let me look that up. Oh, yeah. These are tiny. So these are for like streaming from a phone or an iPad with XLR microphones, headphone outs, loop back, all sorts of things. I would be curious to try these. I would probably never stream from my phone, but it's an interesting option. And with the phone things, it's like, okay, this is going to be good for like a year. It'll get better over time, and then it'll be completely abandoned when the phone changes the ports. So, but at least you'll be able to use this with a computer. It seems a bit pricey for like a phone accessory compared to the price of a USB mixer or like a standard USB mixer or an audio interface. So that's it for the news. I'm going to open up Reaper and I'm going to check out a recent project. So this was the ChatGPT video. This is the completed version. I showed this in the previous stream, the work in progress. But one thing I wanted to go into detail about, the section where I gave ChatGPT a voice.
As a language model, ChatGPT is capable of providing general guidance and advice on Reaper and writing scripts for the program. However, it is important to keep in mind that the quality and functionality of any script written by ChatGPT will depend on the accuracy and completeness of the information provided in the prompt, as well as the complexity of the...
So I'll stop it there. I think you get the idea. That was what was in the video. Let's focus on just the audio for now. So I will I'll solo this track and I'll turn off the effects. What I did was take the output of ChatGPT, put it into the Notes app, and then I had it read. I can just select any text, go to speech, and then start speaking. So this is a Mac feature.
SWS also includes the cycle action editor, which is an advanced form of custom actions that can loop, toggle, step through actions with each trigger, and
I don't know how to stop it once it starts. In this app here, which is Ground Control Caster, each of these channels of the virtual mixer can be recorded. There is an option to, when you click on this button, it brings up the effects chain, as well as a record enable button, and then a button to toggle a new virtual output, so I can record this as its own stream. The record button here will take any of those record armed channels and then output it to a folder. And so I chose FLAC, 24-bit, after plugins. Recordings go into a folder like this, and then there is the desktop audio. I just deleted all the other ones. So when that's playing,
scripts for the program. However, it is important to keep in mind that the quality and functionality of...
Which is kind of slow, and it's just, those are just the settings I had for the speech to text thing, text to speech. So once that's recorded, I bring that into Reaper, and I sped it up a little bit. Basically, I wanted this section to be less than a minute. So without effects, sounds like this.
Writing scripts for the program. However, it is important to keep in mind that the quality and functionality of any script written...
It sounds like a text-to-speech voice, but not like a evil robot. So I went with Little Altar Boy.
The functionality of any script written by ChatGPT will depend on the accuracy and completeness of the information provided in the prompt, as well as the complexity of the desired script. Additionally, as an AI model, ChatGPT may not be able to fully understand.
And I liked that blend of multiple voices. Yeah, that's just how I liked it. After several minutes of experimenting, I also used, I think I actually started with Korg from Calum Audio, and I wanted sort of like a short delay kind of thing first.
The functionality of any script written by ChatGPT will depend on the accuracy and completeness of the information provided in the prompt, as well as the complexity of the desired script.
This one sort of adds this weird whispery kind of sound. So combined, these two effects.
The functionality of any script written by ChatGPT will depend on the accuracy and completeness of the information provided in the prompt, as well as the complexity of the desired script. Additionally,
yeah, so basically that's it. That's it for the voice processing. Just those two effects from the text-to-speech output of the Mac. I think it was pretty effective. And then there was a bit of layers of sound effects and ambient sort of things just to enhance the scene. That's just called abstract ambience. I think I searched for sci-fi in the library. Alien Spacecraft Electric Drone 09. And it's sort of like a shepherd tone kind of rising thing. And then a little noise whoosh thing. It's called Gaussian noise, and it was just stretched out. And I kind of like the grainy effect there. So altogether, as it whooshes,
concepts before attempting to write a new script in Reaper or any other software program.
and so yeah. Then let's talk about the visuals of it. Why not? So starts off with just a screen capture, actually just a still image, I think, of for the B-roll here. I just took a still image from the longer video and basically set the play rate to 0. So it's frozen on this position. And then I'm doing a slow zoom in with the Reaper Blog video controls preset. So I've got some scaling, horizontal and vertical position automated so that it starts here and then ends here. Okay. That's the video controls thing. This layer is the glitch blocks processor from my video tools course, which adds in these random corruption, sort of. On the track above that, I've got another MIDI item with the scan lines preset from my video tools course, which adds this, you know, CRT sort of scan line kind of effect, which I think really enhances the mood. And that's how I layer the sounds and the video effects for this stuff. It's 25 minutes into the video. There's probably a lot of people that never even saw it. It does feel like it's a really long kind of gag at the end of the video, but I don't know. I thought it was interesting. And when I spend a week on it, I want to put in some little extras for the people that actually watched the entire video. I suspect that a lot of people had not looked into ChatGPT yet. They do have a lot of users, but a lot of people are probably just ignoring it because they think it's going to be like crypto and other things and just be gone as soon as it arrived. And I don't know, with 100 million users already, I think it is something that we do need to pay attention to and take advantage of early and often, where it makes sense. A lot of people hate it. To me, it just seems like people are going to be left behind. This is like the change from analog to digital recording. The studios that stayed analog got shut down. AI is moving very quickly. And the fact that it's such an easy to use thing, like this is the first version of AI that anyone can get started with easily, like regardless of age. Reaper scripting is just a very small thing that it can do. When I'm not making Reaper videos and stuff, I watch Djibouti Show on Twitch. They played Callisto Protocol on stream, and there's a lot of questionable things in this game. It's definitely not Dead Space. They made it a very enjoyable watch, but it looked like an absolutely miserable game to play a lot of times. But on the topic of robot voices, I think Callisto Protocol, no offense to anyone that I know that has worked on this, but it's got the absolute worst robot voice ever. And I just want to play like a 2-minute clip from the stream that just made me laugh so hard when it happened live. And yeah. All right, we'll just watch. I won't talk.
Here he comes. Surprise, motherfucker. Here with the skunk. Got Bastion, bro. No chance. Yeah. Yeah. See what you think of this. Oh yeah. Prepare to die. Yeah. And I'm standing there like, got him. It's just... My head is gone.
His arm.
His arm came off. That might have been the best fucking... Oh my god, that was amazing. This game's a 10 out of 10.
He's like, the fuck do you think you're doing? Sorry.
I fucking got the super secret shotgun unlocked with ultimate damage. Take this, you fucking robot piece of shit. This is for all humanity. Welcome to Earth.
Silly human, you have been deleted. Fucking Robocopped his ass. Thank you for making this so easy.
I'm terrified now.
Maybe it's pistol, maybe?
Let me try to get him on here and I can get the jump from the corner. See if he turns around.
Oh. Oh. Ouch.
Resuming combat activity initiated.
The voice. the voice.
Targeting systems activate. Initiating combat mode again. Enemy side.
Voice.
Why is it sexy? I don't know.
You should not be laughing so hard at a robot voice, right? Like, it's like temp voice that just got left in the game. Like, it was released with a temporary voice that was supposed to be replaced. It's common to use the text-to-speech voice in game development, but it's like they went the other way. And it's like this weird, like, sassy, trying to be sexy voice. It's just the worst robot voice I've ever heard in a game. I can't get over it. I love this clip. Sorry about all the swearing. But yeah, it was a great moment. There's a lot more examples of it. I just couldn't find it in the stream. Absolute worst robot voice in a video game, and that's a 2022 release. Should not have happened. All right, so in this section, I'm going to be training my live stream editor who is going to make the recap, and this is how I approach making the recap videos. So first of all, I'm going to go to the live stream page after it's done being live. You're going to right click and grab that link. Then you're going to grab your 4K video downloader app, wherever it is. 4K video downloader. From here, you're going to hit paste link. This is a free app, by the way. You want it to be on high definition, 1080p, MP4, and we'll download that. So once that gets downloaded, you'll have a file like this one. I use an FFmpeg script to generate a wave version of it. I just drag and drop. I actually have it on my my toolbar. That gets dropped into the project. I like to have it at like hour 3 or 4 in the timeline. And I take the two files. I usually immediately group them, but I might also, it's suspend grouping here. I might also set up the take volume envelope, which I have on a shortcut, so I can adjust the volume right there on the item. The video clip here, I go to source properties, I check ignore audio. I don't want any audio playing out of the video track. And the audio track has no video, so this is the wave, this is the MP4. They should already be in sync, just group them together. Now, as you go through and watch this, there's going to be parts that we want to keep, parts that we don't. So the first 5 minutes or so is going to be starting soon. I like to have maybe 2 seconds, 2 to 5 seconds of the starting soon at the beginning, just to show that it was a stream. And then my intro, I'll cut out any major pauses, repeating, stuttering, coughs, dead air, stuff like that. There's a lot of it in the 3 hours of streaming. But rather than just ripple editing everything I don't want, I want to select what's actually good. So I'm playing it through. using my start and end points of the time selection, and then I'm pressing R to make a region. Your shortcut for making a region might be different. So I've got the entire live stream marked with these regions, and there are a lot of them. I don't remember why this one has multiple sections. I think I may have, I don't remember why they're different colors, but they are in this session. From the 3 hours, I have 422 regions. That's a lot. That's fine. That's how it is sometimes. And you can see that there's large sections that just don't get used at all. So this is 9 minutes there. This is 7.5 minutes there. That stuff just doesn't get used. If there's the BRB screen, that gets taken out. As far as what I expect from the editor at this point would just be to get me to that stage, to get everything selected and marked as far as what might be used in the session. One action that I use constantly to make sure that there's a pretty clean jump from one section to the next is to use an action called play skip time selection. Okay, custom play skip time selection. It's going to save the edit cursor position, go to the start of time selection, move cursor left configured number of seconds, play skip time selection, restore edit cursor position slot 1. I'm sure I've done this in a video, but essentially it's going to look like this. Some of these questions so no matter what, the music is going to jump. I'm not concerned about that. People know that it was an edited live stream. It doesn't get the same level of quality and detail as regular video would, which is fine. Play skip time selection is very useful. I additionally like it to jump a second earlier so I can hear it in context, playing through, skipping the part that I don't want to hear. This is helpful when you're setting up these time selections, putting in the regions, things like that. My region action, it's actually a cycle so that I can put in regions without interrupting the playback. But if you just have the action to insert a region, insert region from time selection, not the one and edit, because that will prompt for a name. I don't care about names in the regions. But if you're curious of what happens at the next stage, I have a cycle action that I run. I put my edit cursor on the video track, or select it with my edit cursor at the start of the session. I hit my action, and it runs through a thing where it basically makes a time selection like this. It goes to the first region, makes a time selection, copies what's inside of the time selection, goes back to the start, pastes it, remembers the position of the end point, and then goes back to the second region. So it returns to this position, then jumps ahead to the next region and selects what's inside. It just repeats that for however many times. In this case, it was like 422. Then I will play it through and try to tighten it up even further. So another, 30 seconds shorter by the end maybe, but a lot fewer gaps and mistakes and things like that. I like having this stuff marked so I can see, so it's a little easier to return to something if I made a mistake. So I'm going through, tightening things up further. I'm adjusting the audio as I go through usually. So you can see some volume changes here. Not a ton. It's only if I get far off the mic or really clip it or something. And I'm marking when people ask a question or when we do another topic. In some of the other videos, going through the Reaper 7 wish list, I was like highlighting things. And when people were asking questions, I would bring up the chat overlay and make that center. That's way too much work. I don't want anyone, including myself, to spend 5 hours on a live stream edit after already spending 3 or 4 hours on stream. Because the 4K video downloader is getting the video off of the YouTube website, I don't need to transfer a file to you. And you probably don't need to transfer a file back to me other than this RPP file. I think that'll do. How are my instructions there? Hey, CJ, yeah, video tools, Reaper blog video tools. There's so much good stuff in that. That's 5 years of my, of making videos with Reaper, going into writing the scripts for it and documenting it all. And I was, in the process of making it, I was getting way better at video editing as well. And yeah, a ton of people have taken this course since then, and I added a bunch of bonus stuff that I really enjoy. So yeah, thank you very much. That's a great way to support what I do on the blog. Having things like the border around the video as I'm editing, it's like, I don't know how I could edit without that these days. It's so useful. All right. C. James Music. Help. I use Reaper with a Zoom R24 interface. I changed the sample rate to both for 1.1 to record. Make sure it's 44.1 or 41,000. 41.1 is not correct. I'll show you all the different places you can set your audio device sample rate. That one might have a switch on it, or it has a software thing. On Mac, it's the audio MIDI setup. It's this window where you would set it. So I have all my devices set to 48K, other than the ones that won't, like this one. But everything's at 48K. Windows has a similar thing for that, or there might be a little software widget for your thing, for the Zoom. Inside of Reaper, we've got project settings. So this is a setting for every project where you can set the sample rate. I recommend setting that every single time. There's also, in preferences, audio device. You want to set or request sample rate of 48,000, 44,100, either one. This should override whatever is set on your device or request that it changes. It won't always. If something else is already using it, locked it at a certain sample rate. In general, over the past, I don't know, 5 years or something, maybe it's not quite that long, but I've been setting everything to 48K and I had a lot fewer problems. Going between 48K and 44.1 constantly was always causing some sort of issue. Couldn't hear YouTube, files would crash, or programs would crash because it can't get the device to change. Having everything on 44 or 48,000 has helped me. Have you used an Orba 2 in Reaper? No, I may have seen one once, not in the context of using Reaper. It's a Bluetooth MIDI device. I don't know what to say about it. Is there anything specifically you want to know about? Connects wireless to Ableton. On Mac, you would use the audio MIDI setup to create a MIDI device for it, probably. Maybe there's some software you're missing for it. I haven't used very many Bluetooth MIDI devices. Okay, so if you're on Mac, then this video here, at least on an older version of macOS, but audio MIDI devices hasn't really changed yet. And I even wrote out the steps. It's using an iPad, but Bluetooth MIDI should be the same. Is it much more CPU in 48K? Not really, maybe 5%, but you spend more CPU resampling things, usually. Have I tried Eon Arp? No. This is new, I guess. Recently released. Looks cool. I haven't tried it. Is that an old Space Echo in the background? If so, how often does it break? It doesn't break. I kind of like sort of a dirty, grungy sound. I've used it a bunch of times on the channel. Anytime that I make a video about it or featuring it, it seems to like not be watched by anyone. Even sharing like impulse responses from it and stuff, like no one cares. No one wants me to be excited about nice things. I did a video about changing the tape in it after like 20 years. And everyone said I did it wrong. It made it sound worse. I love it. I don't use it enough. I can't use it in videos. People hate it. I got that Space Echo for, I think, 350 Canadian several years ago. 2009 maybe. They've gone up in price, but I actually got it from a Salvation Army auction, which was, yeah, a great find. Unfortunately, there was one other person that knew what it was, so a bit of a bidding war. Hey, Joe Gilder's here. Hey, how's it going? I'm handsome, that's all. Well, appreciate that. Going to NAMM soon. Any gear you're looking forward to? I think the that Zoom interface that we were reading the news about looks very interesting. I don't know if I would get it myself. I don't think I need the benefit of 32-bit float recording, but it's interesting to see if that's going to be a feature that all interfaces going forward get. That's the first kind of like new idea in audio interfaces and stuff that has happened in a while. The idea of not having to set your gain while recording seems weird. It still seems weird. 64-bit tracks, files are massive. There's no benefit there, really. If you're making files digitally, you should be able to keep it below 0. 24-bit should be enough, but if you really don't know what you're doing, and then yeah, more bits is better. Joe, I think after you normalize it, if it's 64-bit and you normalize it, then just convert it back to 24-bit and you'll save space. Like Reaper is 64-bit internally, right? 64-bit float. And I believe, yeah, we can do 64-bit floating point files in Reaper. If you ever were curious how you actually change your file format, it's here. We can record 64-bit float files. From an audio analog source, it makes no sense. And up till like today, 32-bit floating point made no sense as a recording format. 32-bit float and 64-bit float are only if you're generating sounds from within the computer, or you have that brand new Rode mic or the Zoom interface. No, Reaper will freeze to 32-bit float, but the mix bus and processing is 64-bit. Hey, Whoa says, I think the most I'll do in terms of quality is recording at 96K. Though I do a lot of sound design with pitch shifting and time stretching, I find it produces less artifacts at that rate. Yeah, and not only that, you get frequencies up to 20K when it's played back at a quarter of the speed. Maybe not quarter, definitely half. But yeah, if you're recording bass sounds and then with the intention of pitching it down, there's not really any point. But high frequencies that you play back at half speed, yeah, you want to have high frequencies remain. But for very low frequency stuff, there's 0 point. Unless you just want to have every file in your project the same sample rate, which is probably the right thing to do. General music recording, I don't think 96K is important. Do I work for Reaper? No. Actually, you pay me. I get paid from YouTube, from people signing up for one-on-one lessons, yeah, buying courses, things like that. I don't work for Reaper. This is my site. Oh yeah, and Patreon. I forgot. Or YouTube membership. If you're a patron or a YouTube member, you get your name in the video. I think I work super hard. Currently, anyways. Not always, but a lot of the time. My AdSense earnings dipped way too low. I gotta work hard again. I don't think about Studio One, but Joe Gilder there is probably the person to talk to about Studio One. He makes their videos, I think, or he makes a lot of videos about Studio One. Joe and I have known each other since 2006 or so, 2009. Okay. A gear review. Could we do a gear review? It's the first week in a while I haven't got new gear. Nearly did. The last piece of gear I got, Super Overdrive. This is it's like a special edition one, but it was like $40 Canadian at the pawn shop. And yeah, I really like that. The only thing special about it is that the colors are reversed. I think that came out in 2020 or so. I never tried a Super Overdrive before, but it's pretty good. I haven't really tried many Boss overdrives and stuff other than the bass overdrive. I kind of regret selling that one now. My wife sent me this picture yesterday. This Fender chorus is kind of tempting, even though I don't need a chorus. Even though I just got a chorus plugin paid and the free Toucan plugin chorus, and I don't really use a chorus on my pedal board, but I already have a Boss chorus ensemble. It's just that like under $50 thing is like, oh, I could do that. I could swing that. But when you do that every week, it starts getting pretty expensive. I was also on Reverb yesterday looking at stuff. Let's browse Reverb together. I was looking at drum machines. I'm tempted to get this, even though it probably sounds like crap. And in fact, I probably even have a sample library of this already, with just like $150-ish. I could have this. Let's check my sample library. Korg, what was it? DD-5. I don't have the DD-5 samples. I've got from the 2004 sound library, my very first sound library that I ever purchased. I purchased the wrong format. Be amazed if their website's still up. Yeah, so I'm not sure what year I bought it, but I bought a sound library from these guys in it must have been 2004. No, I ripped it in 2004, so I could have been earlier than that. I don't know. Years and years and years ago. I bought it as the audio CD format. No one offers this anymore, but at the time, you could buy a sample CD as an audio CD or as a data CD, and I didn't know the difference at the time. So I bought the audio version of it, and then I had to slice every single sound for this CD, which was 622 items by hand using Audacity. And that was not fun. That really drove home that lesson. Don't buy the audio version of the CD. I thought it would be easier to use. It was not. Yeah, each track of the CD was just back to back every sound. And I had to rip it with Nero or something, drop it in Audacity, and I learned how to edit that way. It's awful. Yeah, remember, this is 2004. I barely had internet at home. I had a lot of free time, I guess. Audacity was my DAW, and there was no automation sort of things. When I got Pro Tools in 2006, it was amazing that I could do like batch processing. Things like strip silence was amazing. And now we like take that for granted. I haven't needed a tool like strip silence in years. So anyway, Korg DDD-5 circuit bent drum loops and hits. It's probably loud. All right, let's check out some of the loops. Yeah, these are circuit bends, so it's supposed to sound distorted. Shortly after this, I was really into circuit bending, and I made my own circuit bend sound library, which I honestly don't even know if I have that on my hard drives anymore. I ended up making like 90% of that using Audacity, slicing sounds the same way, exporting, manually naming. It was not fun. When was this? 2008. I made this. Yes, you did see ass intruder. It, so this was a little like laser pistol sort of thing that said intruder, and I just, because I'm like, I don't know, I'm like 19 or something at this time. I just wrote ass on it, so it became the name. I did sell this sound library from 2008 to, I don't know, 2011. I don't know if I should like try selling this again. It's been, I haven't made a sale on it in, I don't know, 10 years now, something like that. Yeah, I've got KCO SK1 stuff, Furbies, Fisher-Price keyboard. Fisher-Price keyboard I turned into a contact library. Mystery Meat Machine I ended up selling, but that was a fun one. These loops are just little buzzes that I ended up sort of using as like bass sounds in music. It's fun stuff. I used a lot of these in industrial sort of music with FL Studio. The Furby ones are always fun. Does anyone need an explanation of what circuit bending is? All these sounds are unprocessed, by the way. This is just rewiring various kids' toys, electronic toys, to short them to ground in the wrong spot, or to have like add capacitive resistance from touch points, or wiring things to places they were never meant to be. The talking stuff is always cool. I used Pro Tools from 2006 to 2011. I don't miss it. it's fun stuff. And when you build it yourself, kind of, and give it a custom paint job and stuff, it's really great. I still have some of these. Not a lot of them, but some. I kind of wish I had more of the like original sounds in there as well, but for some reason I didn't. I actually made, yeah, this many sound libraries over the years. The Springs library is pretty cool. Yeah, so those are some that I made in Pro Tools years and years ago. 2012 was when I stopped trying to make sample libraries. Yeah, maybe I'll put them up for sale again. Maybe I'll just have them as available for patrons. If I don't already, maybe I do. Yeah, Chris, I stopped using Pro Tools around the time that there were Russian hackers that basically made a better version of Pro Tools before Avid did. They put in things like using any audio interface. That was a big one. So the cracked version of Pro Tools was better than the paid version. Yeah, it was like the summer of 2010. I don't know if you'll be able to find that anywhere, but it was like a hacked version of Pro Tools 8 before that added in using any audio interface. At that point, it was like, okay, so it is possible. They're just gaslighting us. And they were always talking about how Pro Tools sounded better than the other DAWs because they've got the 48-bit fixed point thing, and 32-bit float was inferior to that. And then version 9 came out, and then they're like, 32-bit float, it's better, you can't clip it. I never got to use clip gain. I left before clip gain, I think. Elastic audio, yeah, on by default. Hated it, never worked. I was fanatical about Pro Tools. I loved it. And until I could no longer use it because everything was always broken. I'd have to clear my preferences basically every time I started Pro Tools. I couldn't use the plugins I wanted. Getting support was never possible. I just felt like I was being lied to constantly. I think that's it. We usually end at 1 o'clock, right? Yeah. All right, so stream is a bit shorter than usual, but pretty much ran out of steam. Thanks again. Hey, whoa, where was it? What was it? That's going to go towards paying the editor. And once a month, I won't have to edit one of the videos, and it's going to be great. Yeah, I don't think anyone gets the context of that alert. Again, that's a Djibouti show clip, actually. Here it is. What am I doing? Mute that. Go here.
Jingle jangle. Jodo breaking it down one time.
Yo,
On a
Jodo.
thirsty Thursday.
My man.
Shout out to the Jodo, my man. What up, dude? We're going back in time, man. Hope you're well.
A lot of you out there are throwing your money away.
Jodo, he did. Jodo, I want you to know we really appreciate the support. You're not. Jodo, no. Jodo, no. Jodo, no. We appreciate the biddies, man. No, dude. What are you...
Yeah, so that's where that clip comes from. Most people would never find that because it's a commercial from 1983, but I happened to see this on stream, and it was just a great moment. That's the story behind that. Coming up, need to make a video about the upgrade to macOS Ventura. I did on Sunday, expecting loads of problems. Zero impacts on plugins working, Reaper working, any of that stuff. I didn't even need to reinstall SWS or reauthorize them in the security thing. So there's a lot less to talk about than expected in that video, and partly why I haven't made that video now. The delay is kind of that I need to reinstall Reaper in a way that triggers the security prompts again so that I can demonstrate those. Unless I take my daughter's computer and install Reaper there to do it. I don't know. But if you're on the fence about Ventura, it's been fine for my system anyways. And there was zero extra effort required. Yeah, and I have some other things planned that were probably sponsored videos and I can't talk about yet. Eventually we'll get back to the control surface extension stuff. I will be back next Friday, same time, 9:30 a.m. Pacific. Thank you all for coming. Thank you so much for watching. See you next week. See you in the next video. Bye.